welcome back, dear GC provers. Both myself and Mr. Goat himself here. We're very excited to show you a bunch of games with the Catalan opening. Because this is what Magnus Carlsen has been playing quite a lot recently to dominate in his own games. So I could go ahead and show you a bunch of high-level stuff, but I decided for the first time it will be more instructive if I only play a bunch of games on my speedrun account, using a setup-based approach, trying to cut away most of the theory so that you can easily go ahead and try it out yourself. So on the screen, you have a quick summary for what you'll see in the video. And without further ado, let's dive right into the games. Dear chess improvers, welcome back. Today, we are gonna be going for an opening that has been requested in the past. And you guys have been really dying to try it out. And now it's the time. We are gonna play the Catalan. We're going c4 right away. And there are gonna be two possible move orders for the Catalan. So knight f3, g3 is, let's say, the better one in terms of avoiding the Benoni lines that would normally arise after c4, e6. If you play g3 right away, the point is that black is more tempted to go c5. So normally I would just do it knight first and then do g3. And now we have starting position of the Catalan. If opponent checks, I will block with the bishop, but very typical for this rating range. You will see both knights developed on the natural squares. So this is a mistake, and I am already freezing. Okay, now with that out of the way, the plan is gonna be to castle short, and then I'm just gonna be trying to play knight bd2, b3, and double fianchetto whenever it's possible. It's true that you need to be aware of the fact that black can quite often throw in dc4 in a lot of variations, but the way we're going to be approaching this is by not rushing to win back the pawn immediately. So castle, and after dc, knight bd2 was my plan, and just try to take it with the knight. But by the looks of it, there is definitely the move knight takes on d4 that needs to be considered. So yeah, I probably don't want to allow that. Then the question is, are we in time to simply play e3 and then knight bd2? The point is to just have the pawn no longer hanging in those lines, and I think this is very much doable. And what I want you to notice is that black is going to have a very hard time regaining this pawn, because any b5 move... Oh, he just played b6. I was trying to show that any b5 move would create this little tension between the bishop and the enemy pieces. So already a move like b5, I would say, is perhaps just losing to knight e5. I mean, black can take the knight, we collect the rook intermezzo, and then we just have an extra exchange. White is technically winning. After b6 though, we can probably do the same. We're just gonna go for the same move. I think that's what we do. We're trying to highlight the problem that black is dealing with against the Catalan. The painful light squared bishop onto the long diagonal. More so painful of the bad. Painful of the bad? I meant to say the pain of the enemy bad light squared bishop. Because that is really one of black's main issues while dealing with the Catalan. It is not comfortable at all to develop the light square bishop, which is why he played b6, trying to mirror my fianchetto, but he doesn't get to. And okay, this may raise the question, okay, if Catalan opening is so strong, then what are we supposed to play against it? Not exactly sure what to recommend. It kind of depends uh, on what your repertoire really is in general. Um, it depends if you like play Queen's Gambit Declined, Nimzo, King's Indian. So it's a tricky question to answer, but there are definitely many setups that are fairly reasonable for black. So if I just had to recommend one that's quite simple, you can play bishop e7 castle, put pawn on c6, knight d7, b6, bishop b7. I mean, it's not great, but it's really like okay. You go for the c5 break later on, and you don't really need to know a lot, and you can easily play it below 1500, even below 2000, I would say. But okay, now knight g6, so my bishop is undefended. Very important, once I collected, you just want to go back. That is what we're gonna do. Very important, go back. And now just by looking at it optically, it is such a strange position. We're just looking at a chess game. All pieces on the board except a rook is missing. That is pretty wild. Okay, I'm just gonna take while getting ready to play b3 if my opponent tries to pin the knight. I don't want to give back the rook. And after ed, I'd imagine taking either way is fine. Probably, probably taking with the queen just to offer more trades. But ed also, I liked it. Okay, e4 he pushes. Now we have one remaining piece. I said that the plan is to go double fianchetto. This time I could actually even deviate from the move and just start prioritizing trades with bishop a3. But after c5, I can take, go endgame, then trade bishops. I could also play bishop b2 right away. I think that's what we're gonna go for. Opponent takes very quickly. I'm just gonna go for the trade, secure the queen swap, and also go bishop trade while connecting my rooks so that finally we're gonna be able to fight for the open file. This is just, it feels a bit too easy. 1300 Elo players. I mean, we're certainly gonna have trickier games. They are up and coming, so you should stay tuned. But yeah, we pretty much got him with the oldest trick in the Catalan book, and also the main idea why you play this opening and why you shouldn't be so afraid of losing that pawn on c4 and regain it immediately. Because especially in the past, there was this variation where people, whenever they deal with dc, people just rush queen a4, queen takes. I mean, it's possible. It's okay, but you don't really have to. Because it can be even juicier if you give your opponent chance to make mistake, play b5, and then simple knight e5 move. Okay. He did a6, so we have rooks on open files. My knight can be improved. Bishop can be slightly improved as well. I have bishop f1 to do it, getting a tempo. Then he plays b5, and my knight is a bit out of the game. So then this brings the question, why aren't we prioritizing the knight move? Which is what we're gonna do. Creating a bit of a hidden threat, since knight to d6 will be a fork. Probably best defense at this point for opponent rook b8. Goes bishop g4, playing for the intermezzo. Well, we're just gonna have to go in. Only available square inside the enemy half, although rook d2 or d4 was also reasonable. It's just that I'm trying to apply pressure to these pawns, and against b5, not exactly sure what am I gonna do with the knight. Maybe just knight d2. Okay, plays h6, creating a loft and trying to avoid back rank issues, but from this point on, we're just gonna be collecting and trading, or trading and collecting. I don't mind that order either. So knight d5. More importantly, make sure to blunder check. Whenever you have a position like this, it's more about just making sure you don't give up your pieces. Like, for instance, how you can do that specifically when I'm thinking of a move like rook a7. Okay, how is the rook on a7? It's unprotected. So that should just give me the feeling that I want to double check. Okay, rook is unprotected. Be careful. Also, this piece is unprotected. I want to be careful about it. See, he goes for the unprotected piece. I'm just going to move it. Where do I move it? Cannot do open file because bishop covers. I can put it behind the pawns and push, which is probably what I'm gonna do. This seems like a pretty simple yet just as effective strategy. Might as well push the b pawn down the board. Tough for him to stop it. Bishop f3. I think we can just go for the trade. He has no ways to get a reborn queen and come in here. So we should be safe to just advance. As long as before knight takes b4 is not possible. I gotta watch out for a back rank tactic, however. So you wanna keep that in mind. It's not the case here, but there is still possibility for a back ranker. Maybe if you just wanna be extra cautious, there is all the time in the world to play h3 or h4. That is fine. You don't have to rush with pushing this pawn, but I'm afraid knight aj8 is also not gonna help him too much. Wow, he came up with this advanced maneuvering. I can queen, but even nicer in these positions, you can consider to exchange the defender of the promotion square, so you can get a full queen. You just get the whole piece. Don't get to pay any commission to the enemy rook when it starts sacrificing itself. So yeah, pretty clinical game. I mean, I had to play king h1 and avoid the mate in one. I forgot to mention, but yeah, make sure to definitely avoid such things. Go to f1 and okay, getting a queen. I'm looking unprotected pieces. Can we come up with an easy move? There is queen e4 check. Getting to the unprotected knight. And honestly, just an easy game. We didn't have to do any difficult moves whatsoever. I also think we're gonna get relatively decent accuracy. I'm just curious about my e3 move. Was the only somewhat difficult decision, but overall pretty clean. Welcome back, everybody. We're gonna be going for the Catalan. You know it. You know why you clicked on this video. And you came here to see Mr. Valik 4 getting Catalanized. Or you just came here to become a Catalanizer yourself. that is what we're gonna do. And the opponent plays knight f6, where the best move is actually to take. And then this way we're just gonna be punishing a beginner level mistake, because after knight takes, you can get a massive center, and in case he takes with the queen, you get a free tempo. We don't need that. All right, we are Catalan players. We don't need to bother about that. We're just gonna castle, block a check with the bishop, and then carry on with our day. And pretty much the game can go into two main scenarios, I would say, to break it down simply. Black takes on c4, tries to hang on to the pawn, makes some sort of mistake, and we punish immediately. Or black keeps the pawn, and we get some long-term compensation that I'm about to teach you. If they don't take the pawn, then the plan is to very much just go knight bd2 and play double fianchetto, queen c2 and d4 push. Just so you know what we're signing up for. Okay, bishop on d6. We're not gonna really go too much into the woods of the theory, whether this is an interesting setup to play or not. I think if you just try to learn it by the book and then play it online below 2000 elo, nobody really follows the theory. So you need to know setups and general type of compensation, and then how to play the upcoming middle games. And the opponent looks to have a pretty interesting opening concept. He is going for the e5 push. I could try to play in a way that stops it, but I think I will just do b3, e5, and then take once. He takes with a knight. We play bishop b2, dc4, trade everything, take with a knight, and we get a Catalan-ish type of position. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Typical concept, you see opponent gets two pawns lined up to each other in the center. You wanna immediately destroy one of them. You can also start with this move, as a matter of fact, but knight d5, he will have knight c3 ideas. Perhaps no need to do it. I'm not really that concerned about pawn on d5. What bothers me is the fact that opponent wants to play e4 and then shut down these pieces. So I'm gonna eliminate this pawn first. And then, wow, he actually makes such a horrific mistake. Giving free bishop, 1300 elo player. He didn't read my book on fundamentals for sure. More so because I haven't published it yet, but definitely whenever you have a choice, looks like a lot of options are possible, you just want to prioritize the lower value piece. Knights are weaker pieces than bishops. Knight is worth 3 points, bishop is worth 3.25. So anytime take with knight, that's gonna be the best move. No need to be confused in these recaptures. I would have gone for bishop b2. Now, okay, knight takes 25. Now we're speaking. I can play bishop b2 and complete the double fianchetto that I've mentioned, but there's gonna be dc4. And after knight takes on c4, knight takes on c4, pawn takes, arguably a queen trade. And then I'm gonna have maybe rook e2 as a problem. It's fishy. I mean, I can snipe on f6, play rook d8 check. Looks like my opponent is maybe just losing on the spot. After bishop h3, we are winning material. But the game gets crazy for no reason. I just want to play it simple chess. So we're going to trade side pawn for a central pawn. And then our bishops are simply going to be monsters in the long run. So knight c3 is annoying. Finish the double fianchetto, and with no black pawn in the center, having the pair of bishops in such positions is almost as good as having an extra pawn. This is how much of an advantage white really has in these positions. And there are a few ways to play it. One possible plan is to do more slower play, like, okay, he's threatening bishop g4. So I could do e3 and then try to set up a slow minority attack, which can definitely work, and we can apply pressure. The other one is e4. The ideal scenario would be to play e4, f4, e5. Get a strong center, and then our opponent's pieces will be dominated. Still, even e4 doesn't seem to work so well move by move after knight b4, knight d3. Seems to be quite annoying. So this brings the question, maybe I'm supposed to just start with knight c4, getting a tempo. And if bishop e6, well, I've managed to take away this aggressive option that he wanted. Notice that I am attacking the enemy knight with a discovery. So I moved my knight, opening up queen path, and I provoked this move. In case black played knight b4, this was no longer a problem because I haven't committed to the pawn. So I can at least politely ask him to go back. And after bishop to e6, okay. Now we have a choice. Still, it's possible to play a move like rook c1, just useful in general. e4 definitely still on our plate. It's just that the same idea kind of bothers me. Does it make sense to just play queen d2, take away b4, and then prepare rook fd1, e4? I think queen d2 is rather flexible here, and I like it for that reason. Notice that a move such as b5 would exponentially increase the power of my bishop, so he cannot really do it. And the pawn structure for black will be something with c6. He needs to set up a pawn crystal to try to make my bishop bite granite. That's how he can try to do some sort of damage control. But queen e7, it looks like it's simply giving up the knight, but there's going to be rook d8. And after e4, c6, he is winning back the piece. But I'm not sure he necessarily calculated, or he just gets lucky with it. So, queen e7, what a move. Wow. Crazy. For that matter, not sure I want to take. That's a valuable bishop. I don't want to simply give it away for the enemy knight. So bishop takes on d5 might be lucky blunder for my opponent, which is quite funny. I can try to do queen d4, however, and threaten mate in one. Maybe it was smart to even consider it on the previous move. I just didn't realize that this position is so strange with enemy knight on g6. It's usually placed on f6. But now he doesn't have an easy way to parry the mate. And now the point is I'm trying to provoke f6, which would actually lose for my opponent, because same trick as in the past doesn't work anymore. I can take, and when I get pinned, because I provoked the pawn move, I'm taking with a check. So this is actually a free piece for us. Can just take and okay, I mean, at least take it. Come on, why don't you take the bishop? I can protect simply. Yes, protect, and we are setting up a small trick. Okay, this is only between me and you. Our opponent is not allowed to know. But were you able to find the trick I was mentioning or not? I think he didn't. And despite the fact that everything wins, particularly nice is this little idea. So Remember the Grandmaster's secret that the knight moved backwards, bishop is protected, and that was pretty easy. That was pretty easy when the center opened up for the double fianchetto bishops. Okay, I think I'm just gonna take twice on e5, giving him a last bait. I will act like my bishop is hanging, which is not, but he might think it is. Okay, so he took it this way. I think it's a fair time to collect, although I can also play knight c4 and offer a trade of queens, which is what I'm gonna do. Knight g6 check is a nice idea, but king f7 simply. So with knight c4, I'm just trying to show that whenever you have a pinned piece, quite often it is the best play to not rush and take immediately. Wait for opponent to waste a move unpinning, yes. Now he just unpinned, he's threatening to move it. Now I am gonna be collecting only last moment, and we do have extra rook and knight, which helps in the endgame. So if you guys are looking for the endgame cheat code, how to not be bad in the endgames, just make sure you have an extra rook and an extra knight when you enter the endgame. That may or may not improve your win rate of the endgame, which is why I am such a great coach, because I give out life-changing advice like this for free while mating my opponent. Okay, he got Catalanized. Yeah, I think maybe only inaccuracy I did was playing this queen d2 instead of queen d4. Other than that, it felt like a pretty clean game. Welcome back, everybody. Getting another white game, and we're gonna be going d4, c4, and knight f3, g3. Unless my opponent decides to strike in the center. I'm just mentioning this because c5 is a possible move the way he started the game, and there we have it. Okay, what do we play? That kind of caught me off guard. I haven't really thought about it. What's the easiest move? For the tutorial's sake, d5 is the most ambitious. Take, and then we could play a g3 Benoni. There is also option to play knight f3 and take it with a knight. I think that would perhaps be the more Catalan-esque approach. So I'm gonna just defend with a knight, and then, well, we're just gonna be still following a fianchetto scheme. So in order to get a good game, my opponent needs to play some quick queen to b6 move. Okay, do I start with knight on c3? I have to say, we're getting a bit of a strange move order, so I know for sure knight c3, knight f6, g3, queen b6 is the main line. But we haven't committed to those moves, and I'm trying to figure out if there is actually a drawback for not playing knight c3 in this position. Because I guess g3, d5, I can play bishop g2. It's true my opponent can play bishop c5 and we get a similar position to what Gukesh had against Ding Liren, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. Gonna go g3 though. I think for tutorial's sake, this is the most Catalanesque move. Oh wow, queen f6. Queen f6 shouldn't really be such a great move. He is developing with a tempo, but knight to b5 is gonna ask some unpleasant questions. Probably he just has to go back and then go bishop g2 and he goes a6. But then I have check. Yes, knight b5, quite a problem. Quite a problem. I was thinking, maybe I was wrong. Bishop c5. What a move. What a move. Is this a thing? Looking back at this, I'm surprised this is possible. Can I just play e3? Yeah, probably e3 is just killing the fun for my opponent. Because obviously I'm not supposed to go in for that mess. I don't even instinctively calculate. Maybe I'm not getting mated, but it just gets so risky that doesn't even come into consideration. So I'm just gonna restrict my opponent's bishop while still reminding him of the fact that I am threatening to fork. So bishop back, queen d8. He must do something to protect. And definitely this hyper-aggressive play that my opponent goes for is not the way to play against the Catalan. The Catalan is such a solid opening that especially for low elo, it just becomes even more effective since there is a big tendency for players to overextend. And against the Catalan, you just wait to catch them. So it's just as simple as baiting flies with honey. That is how you do it. You play Catalan, the guys go aggressive. You catch them with the book. In case you know what I'm talking about. Probably not. Probably not. You know, probably half of you think that I'm just a crazy guy that is half decent at chess. So the fact that I may say strange things from time to time, you're probably comfortable with that already at this point. Okay, knight e7. Gonna go simple play. We do have the bishop pair, and I'm gonna do double fianchetto setup. This is what I preach for in the Catalan. Could also start with knight c3. Both moves are fine. He is gonna target my queen in the near future, and I think I'm just going back to d2. It's possible to try and maybe play queen a3 and not allow black to castle. He cannot castle through check. Do I want to just play queen a3 and go for an endgame? Yeah, let's do it. Alternatively, a move that looks strange but it's usually very strong in these structures is queen d2. And you may think, okay, queen d2 is outrageous, it's just clearly blocking the bishop. Yes, but the point is, since you're about to fianchetto, the queen is actually really well placed on d2. Should I play this move? I don't know if I want to play it. It's certainly strong, it's just a bit strange. Just a little strange. But a little strange, maybe it's good sometimes. Let's do queen a3. He cannot also do b5 because he is pinned along the a file. Queen e7 or knight e7 are gonna be candidate moves for my opponent. Or queen a5, fine. Let's play endgame this way. Okay, so I can rather trade and play b3, protect the pawn, or go bishop d2, take with the knight. Which one is better? Can also maybe do b3 and make the argument that we might take with the bishop. Okay, I think I'll do it this way. So there is urgency for black to take if he wants to castle. So I am just getting ready to activate my bishop. And then the positional play will begin. In case he goes b5, maybe it's a good move that he should play. Although bishop d2 becomes interesting since after queen takes a3, knight takes a3. My knight is developing with a tempo, and after move pawn to b4, knight to c2 grabs a tempo, but he cannot even do b4 because bishop takes b4 exploits the fact that the knight is pinned. So In this position, I feel like b5 is best move for my opponent, but after bishop d2 is... Wait, what am I saying? b5 is a completely nonsensical move. I can just take. And then, yeah, I'm just blind. Apologize for the blind spot, but b5 it's not a move. You can obviously just trade and pick up the rook. So yeah, I think black is simply supposed to trade queens. Otherwise, the king is gonna be stuck in the center for a while. He might still be stuck in the center for a while, but at least he doesn't get mated. So there is there are some positive aspects to that. Expecting b5, he should really try to activate one way or another. And there we have it. True, my bishop has some dangerous prospects, although I don't have an immediate way to increase the pressure on the pinned piece. So b5, the right thing to do. Now, my opponent does have a bit of a positional threat. He's looking forward to do bc. And then if I recapture, I'm going to have an isolated pawn, which I'd much rather avoid. He also wants to play bishop b7. Knight d2 would be a simple, strong move, just in general. Completing development, getting ready to recapture and avoid structural damage, while b4 is met by the simple bishop b2. Targeting and pressuring g7. Okay, now I guess we are entering the middle game phase of this game. And it's actually quite an interesting position. There are two potential targets that we can play for. So if you may, please feel free to pause the video and just try to make an analysis, an overview if you want, of what are the targets, what are the potential plans, how would you continue if this was one of your games. Because this is really how you're actually gonna improve your handling of these positions, by learning what is the main focus point, and more specifically learning how to identify it. So definitely big factor in the game is pawn on d7. Why? It's placed on an open file. It cannot be protected by other pawns. It is a backward pawn. That is going to be the main target. So rook d1, knight e4, rook d2, rook a d1. Something like this would be a very simple and natural follow-up. Knight on e4 is good because it's pressuring vulnerable squares. Alternatively, also a3 comes to mind, just using this pawn as a hook. And also using the fact that maybe black is lacking a very comfortable reply. Also worth mentioning that a3, rook b8, you can actually take. And the pawn on b3 is always nicely protected by the knight. But maybe the fact that he can capture with his own knight is making matters quite unclear. I think that would be helping black. So we need to put a rook on d1. I'm just gonna do this one. Looks like a3 could be a useful resource in some positions. And now it's time to maneuver the knight. My instinct was knight e4. Just need to consider if black has some annoying ideas after d5, but generally not gonna be the case. And now he plays bishop to b7, where yeah, the key idea is to try to make life as difficult for your opponent as possible. Because white has the opportunity to just apply standard by-the-book procedure, identify the weakness, the backward pawn on d7, and just apply as much pressure as possible. But in the same time, you're giving black enough time to regroup. In order to avoid that, I think it's even smarter to throw in this knight c5 move. and it's pretty much just forcing the bishop back. But now, what is the drawback of the move? The bishop is breaking the coordination between the rooks. And with that, it's gonna be for the final time in this game that I'm gonna be asking you to pause the video and find the winning move. Rooks are disconnected, therefore tactics are possible. More specifically, a simple bishop takes on c6. Opponent cannot recapture since the rook on d8 has just become unprotected after we eliminated defender of the rook. Rook was protected by the knight. The knight went to the grocery store and will never return. And white just wins without really having to do anything special, really. I mean, yes, we dodged the mate in one. That was impressive, I know. I know that my nerves of steel, of resisting the fork in the beginning, was definitely a memorable moment. But other than that, we just developed our pieces. And after knight b5, once you cash in the bishop pair, the rest was pretty intuitive. Okay, just moving away the knight, knight c6. Happy to trade pieces now. We're entering conversion mode. We're about to arrive at the destination. We're starting the decline procedure. Is that how they say? On the plane. We're starting a decline procedure. Probably not. That sounds a bit awkward. I wouldn't feel comfortable if I heard that on a plane. Okay. Whatever that is, we're gonna target the pawns and then we might just have to push them, baby. We're just gonna eliminate the queen side and push them, baby. Opponent goes for some desperate card play. And desperate was a compliment. Because these ones are seriously not going anywhere. Okay. Push pawns together. Preparing c6, preparing the other one. And okay, one last bit of instructive moment is that we're pushing pawns on the opposite color of our bishop. So bishop gets to dominate the knight, and when I push, I make sure that when pawns are on the same line and then we make step forward, we just push not c7 because he can usually blockade, but we push on b7. So bishop can fight for the squares around the pawns. Obviously, you don't really need it here, but okay. That is how you do it without ever messing it up. Okay, I actually got my opponent in a bit of a cage. We got opponent in a Nicolas Cage and we made him wait the knight. Okay, that was nice. All right. I think that was just a pretty clean game overall. Thanks everybody for making it all the way this far into the video. As you can see, I actually got a haircut in the meantime until I recorded the outro. So as you can tell, my workflow is pretty chaotic, but I made a community post going about my upcoming books and all the projects. So I will add it here on the screen, and also you can go to community tab on the channel, give it a like. I'd really appreciate you boost the engagement, and yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next week. Take care.